Okay, so we are now live at YouTube, and now I'll hit the record button. Or I'll hit the record once we call, right before the calling meeting to session.
Okay.
Which is just 10 seconds before the actual 2 o'clock. But you're right, we do need to wait for.
So we don't have anybody. Oh, there's 2 attendees.
Oh yes, they're there. Let's see. I bet
But those are not. Those do not look
Christine,
like. That's not who.
Right, Morton is probably. Well, here's Elizabeth.
There's Elizabeth. Excellent. That's who we were waiting for.
Hello.
Hey, hi, Elizabeth. There's 2 attendees. Christine Keen, is that one from you guys or not? Yeah, so I should bring them in to.
Yeah, and is it Sel?
It's
Yeah,
Elle
okay.
just joined as well. Yes.
Well, I'll promote them to panelists right now.
And Mort is from the Historic Commission, correct?
Yes, I bet he's going to want to speak also. Let's see. So
Sure.
It's Sel. I can't hear you muted at the moment. Oh,
Hi, my name's Edsel Polanco Cavalas.
Nice to meet you. Okay, I'm going to bring Christine in here. I just want to do one at a time, so don't overload the system.
I think Zoom's handled worse in the last year.
Okay, and then why don't I just chat to more panelists and attendees. Mort.
So we have 10 panelists and no attendees.
Yeah, well, Mort's still a
weird kind of webinar.
Okay. So why don't we why don't I start recording and then start the meeting? What do you say?
Yep, sounds good.
All right, record heading.
All right.
Okay, Amanda, you can hear us, right?
I can.
Okay, great.
Excellent.
We can hear you. All right.
So it looks like we have a quorum of members. I don't know if we were waiting for any more. Julie, you can chime in if you want, but if we have a quorum, it looks like 4 is a quorum and we have 4.
5.
5. We have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5. All right.
Yes.
I will call this meeting of the Waltham Community Preservation Committee to order, 2 o'clock on Friday, the 30th, and we are here to talk with Two Life Communities about their modified plans for the Leland home property. My name is Erica Jerem. I'm the vice chair. The chair has recused himself from these discussions around the Leland House as he's a member of the Leland House board. So without the other thing I wanted to say is I wanted to thank the committee for coming together quickly. This is a special meeting. This is not our usual meeting time, and I appreciate those of you who are able to make this time work for us to meet with Two Life again. And I wanted to thank the Two Life crew for coming together quickly and coming to our special meeting at 2 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, and for being willing to work hard with the community. I know they're going to tell us about some of the plans that some of the work that they've done since they saw us in February when we voted on this project before, and to be willing to come back to us and ask for just kind of a blessing and confirmation that they're on the right track. So I would like to turn it over. If there are no questions, I think we turn it over to Dan for a roll call vote.
Sure, absolutely. How about
and then we'll turn it over to Elizabeth and her team for a presentation or remarks from them.
Okay, I'm actually going to try to send a link to Sean, who is not being able to use his link that he got emailed. So let me just send that to him, and then he'll come as an attendee and I can add him in. Okay. So Sean is at the moment absent. Amanda?
Present.
Loretta?
Present.
Bob seems to be absent. Bill?
Present.
Tom? Not here. I'm here. Erica?
Present.
Very good. And Justin, as we know, is absent also. Okay. So we do have 5 for the moment. We'll shortly have 6. So we do have quorum.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. I'd like to turn it over to Elizabeth.
Thank you, Erica. And let me also echo Two Life's thanks, and thanks on behalf of our partners, Leland and Deaconess, for also coming together on this Friday afternoon in the summer with somewhat of a last minute request, but I think a very helpful engagement with you as we're preparing for an appearance again this coming Monday night before the council for the vote on the we anticipate for the vote on the CPC award. And given the changes that we've made to the project through some really positive and I think productive conversations with the community, wanted to share those changes with you and discuss the nature of the award given the changes, which I'll say at the outset, we hope that you're still in agreement that the project in its revised form is still worthy of the $6 million commitment. And we can talk with you about why that's the case, even though the project's gotten slightly smaller in the intervening time. We've been able to do more due diligence, confirm some of our budget assumptions, but also, as we highlighted in the submission we gave to you, we've really deepened the affordability in the project as well. And hope that you agree that with those changes, the project is still needing and worthy of the really tremendous support that you've already granted the project. So with that, I'll ask Itzel to share her screen. We have a couple of slides. Unlike the first time we were before you, we actually have some images of the project to share with you now, but also wanted to give you kind of a roll-up summary of some of the things we highlighted in the revised application that we sent that represents the project changes. So, and I'm also going to suggest it's I don't know, 5 or 6 slides or so. It's not a super long presentation. So let's do this as a conversation. I would say just, jump in with questions as we go. I don't think, there's not a need to wait for the end to ask questions. So Itzel, do you want to advance to the first slide, this is the roll-up of the primary changes we thought it made sense to highlight since we were before you in February. And at that time, you I'm sure will recall that we had 2 options, a 63 unit option and a 79 unit option. And we were really excited about the larger project and really pleased that you chose that one as well and supported the project at that scale. At the time, it was 79 units with a proposed height of 4 stories and a 0.5 parking ratio with 40 spaces. And through work with our district Councilor Joey LaCava, as well as a number of neighbors, we had a series of meetings, a couple of meetings on Zoom, and then sort of concluded with some in-person smaller conversations, in particular with one set of abutters, and worked through changes that addressed the concerns the neighborhood had raised, which primarily had to do with traffic and parking and height. And so we really looked at a revised scale that allowed us to reorganize the site plan and reorganize the design such that we could leverage some more parking out of the site and improve the parking ratio by shrinking the project a little bit. And also through some redesign, bring the height of the building down a little bit while still preserving a fairly substantial scale. So with the changes, we really only ended up needing to lose 11 units. And, I think this is important because if I can be so bold as to speak on behalf of the community, I think what we experienced was tremendous support for the concept of the project and really the importance of affordable supported senior housing in Waltham. And the community was wonderfully really supportive of that, but concerned more about the ability for the project to fit in the neighborhood. So, the opportunity to preserve a large number of apartments and to use ways to modify the site plan and the design to continue to support a significant scale and make sure that the impacts were reasonable on the neighborhood, I think was a win-win for everybody. And we have some images to show you in a minute that show you how we kind of adjusted the scale. And at the same time that we were working with the community on the design and the kind of impacts that I described, we also had the chance to dig in a little bit more with our funding partners at the state and federal level and to really look at a different approach to the subsidy mix in the project such that we could actually deepen the number of units that were affordable at a lower income level. So the original affordability mix, when we came to you in February, was about a third, a third, a third, a third extremely low income, a third kind of in that middle low income range, and then about a third at that moderate range. And we have been able to identify an expanded amount of state and federal resources such that we can actually have all of the affordability be below 60% of the area median income. And we think that's really important because we know through looking at demographic data and also talking with folks in the community that the place where the need is greatest, where there's a mismatch between income and apartments that serve people at that income range, it's really below that 60% of median range. So we're really happy that we can have all the units be at that level. And the reason that's possible is actually because in the intervening time, when we submitted with you in February, there was a pretty significant change that happened in federal policy that strengthened the 4% low-income housing tax credit. The 9% credit, which is what we had been thinking we were going to use, the value of the equity that comes from that sort of caps out at about 55 units or so. So anything more than 55 units and a 9% credit has to fall into that more moderate income category. But because the 4% program changed and we were able to use it now where we couldn't before, it expanded the number of units that would be able to be subsidized in the tax credit program, which lets us get this deeper affordability. So we jumped at that chance. And we hope you agree that this is even a stronger project that will be positioned to serve more of the need in Waltham. And one of the other really wonderful things that change to the 4% program provided was also the ability to lower the tax credit rents. So not only do we now have more tax credit apartments, but we're able to offer them at a lower rent. So those tax credit rents before, as you can see, were between $1,330 and $1,600, and now we've lowered them to $1,200 and $1,450. So that means that the income band that's affordable to goes even lower. Whereas before the tax credit units, you would have had to earn between 50 and 60% of area median to afford them. Now we've been able to drop that a full 10%. So now we can serve a range of 40 to 60% of median. And those changes are also in the context of being able to preserve and actually, in this case, expand the number of extremely low income units by 2 through our intent to apply for project-based vouchers. So we think that this is a stronger project. It meets community needs and has a stronger affordability profile. And so if you want to move to the next, and before we move on, are there questions about any of that? I know that was a lot of information to throw at you, but I can keep going or answer questions. Keep going? Okay, I'll keep going. All right, so we have a couple slides of images. So this is our site plan. And Itzel, since you're kind of driving here, maybe you can use your cursor as I talk. So there's the senior center parking lot. You can see Main Street and Newton Street. So we worked with the community to achieve a couple of really important things with this site plan. One was to really look at a ratio of kind of building on the site to open space on the site. And we were able to do it in a way where it puts the new building in a little bit of a different place on the site than the existing Leland home is, but it follows about the same ratio of open space to building. So we've got a really nice open space plan here and a couple of opportunities to have some really nice landscaping and kind of outdoor features for folks. And one of the things that was really important was preservation of the 3 mature trees on Newton Street, that by siting the building with the setback that it has, we're able to preserve those. And then another really important feature of the site plan is the kind of, to address traffic, it's the organization of the access to the site in 2 different places. So we have, as it says circling right there, kind of what's going to be an active drop-off and pickup zone. And behind it, you can't see it under the trees, but there's actually 3 visitor spaces also in that drop-off and pickup zone. So we're really concentrating the coming and going traffic and the sort of more active traffic on Newton Street, so that on the Hurd Street curb cut, you're really only going to experience intermittent traffic, which is going to be people coming in once during the day, parking, staying for the day, and then leaving. So that we're concentrating most of the active traffic onto Newton Street, but also creating this pickup zone so we're not interrupting street flow when there are the kind of drop off and pickup activities that are pretty typical for a senior living community. And then we've also paid close attention itself. You can highlight the green space between the senior center parking lot and our building. There's actually going to be a nice walkway and sort of a bit of a park-like feature planned over there, so that it'll be a really nice connection to the senior center as well, because we are still talking actively with them about coordination of programming and the synergies of our co-location here. So moving to the next slide. This is a sort of fun conceptual image of our thinking of what this building is going to look like. And you can start to see that park that I described in that walkway off to the right. You can see the functionality of this drop off and pickup zone. And really what we're playing with here in the front, and again, this is sort of our initial conceptual design. It's going to sort of evolve as we continue to work with this. But what we're really playing with in the front here is this concept of a covered front porch that is really intended to honor the spirit of the current signature front porch of the Leland home, which, you know, is a way to pay respect to the kind of historic nature of this property and the importance of that front porch, but both physically but also programmatically, because, you know, a front porch is such a warm and welcoming feature in a building like this, and particularly given our population, the ability to have shade and a covered place to sit, and a covered place to sit that's at grade, that's fully accessible to our residents and to the community, we think is going to create really important connections between the community and our building, because you can see all that glass on the ground floor, and what's behind that is our really substantial ground floor village center, because the entirety of the ground floor on this wing of the building, which is the wing between the senior center and our site, is all community space. So that's going to have a multi-purpose room, and it's going to host spaces for our fitness program and our arts programs and our intergenerational programs, and, you know, all the kind of wonderful things that we offer that really support people's ability to age in a connected way, in a healthy way, and we think in a much more happy way. So that front porch is sort of the first invitation into the building, and that sort of ability to bring that village center outdoors and create a shaded place for people to sit and connect with the community. So moving to the next slide, this shows you a massing study, and this is something that we worked really hard with the neighborhood on. We had originally proposed 4 stories, which would have maxed out at the top of the peaked roof of the senior center, and we lowered the building by an entire story and expanded the footprint a little bit in order to be able to preserve the kind of significant unit count that we have. But I think we felt, and everyone in the neighborhood felt, that this 3-story approach was a better fit for the community, and in particular was a better view from this corner of Newton and Main that you can see here. And you can see also that we're starting to play with some color and material change and a little bit of change in the massing, so that it's not one continual wall either on Newton or on Main Street, but so that you know the building starts to break up a little bit and feel like it's a little bit more contextual, given the fact that it's bridging. This design is really bridging a large commercial street with a pretty intimate residential neighborhood. Moving on to the next slide. We're almost done here. This is a sources and uses budget comparison, which shows you the original budget at the proposed 79 units, the current proposal with the 68 units, as well as a section that just shows you the line item comparison or the difference between the two. And what you'll notice here is that the total development budget has gone down because the building is a little bit smaller, but the cost per unit has gone up. And the reason that's the case is that in the intervening time, and as we've done more due diligence, we certainly learn more about the costs of individual line items. And as the project progresses, we're able to refine some of our assumptions, but also there are certain fixed costs to development that don't change even when the project size changes. So naturally, that means that those fixed costs are spread across fewer units, so that total cost goes up. And one of the reasons that we're still hopeful that you can agree that $6 million is the right award for a project like this is because it does help to offset the stress on the project from those fixed costs being spread out across fewer units, also because some of the costs have gone up, but in particular because we've deepened the affordability, which while we were able to obtain more equity, as you can see here through the tax credit program, we lost some revenue, substantial revenue on the permanent debt side because the lowering of the rents and the elimination of those moderate income units, so that the way the sources and uses balance out, I think you can see that that the $6 million is still holds an important place in keeping the project whole, given the subsidy sources that we think we will be able to obtain. So moving to the next.
Was that one? I'm sorry. Yeah.
Sure.
In the difference column, I did notice the mass housing. What's the scoop with losing the 22.4 million there?
So that's a particular source that might possibly have been available had we been doing those moderate units.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So since we eliminated the moderate units, we hadn't even really worked through with them yet. They have a workforce housing program that we've been in conversation with Mass Housing for a while about extending it to seniors as well as to families. And so we were going to be continuing that conversation with them for this project. But since we've eliminated the moderate units, we took that source off. So moving to the next slide, this is just a detailed look at the unit mix comparison that I described to you in that earlier slide. You can see here where the specific unit count changes, how we eliminated the moderate units, and where you can see our rent calculation, it's gone down for those low-income housing tax credit units. And we also increased the number of project-based units from 28 to 30. And I think that is our last slide. So we're happy to leave the slides up or take them down, and whichever is most helpful for you in the conversation.
Thank you. I would open it up to the committee if they have questions or comments. I welcome them now.
So do you want to stop the screen share and then we can just pull it back up if folks want to see anything again?
Sure. I have a couple of comments. One is I very appreciative of the targeting to the lower income stuff. That's really great work there. And indeed, because I'm trying to get a handle on costs for all sorts of the affordable housing projects that we've been seeing through at least Waltham. Indeed, like you said, you mentioned the unit prices going up. What I remember, if you look at the whole project, it's $485K is ballpark, give or take bucks. But actually, that's actually down from $499. Because it was $39 a half mil for 79 came out to like almost 500. Maybe I miscalculated a little. It's still in the same ballpark roughly, so it hasn't.
I think it went up, not down, but are we wrong about that?
Well, I guess I should get my calculator out again.
Itzel, do you want to pull the slide back up?
Yeah, that'd be great. And it's 68 units, right?
Yeah, so here you see at 79 units, it was 448. And now it's 68, it's 485.
Oh, my original calculation was wrong. Okay, great. So it did go up. All right, great. Well, I mean, not great, but that's just reality.
It's just reality.
Reality. But that was in the comparison, just to remind people that for the total project for the Nelson Apartments, of which we approved the project just a little while ago, was 325K a unit, and the Armory project, which we've seen but has not been approved, was going to be 560 a unit. So 490. So it's up to 485. So it's just good. I just like to get those numbers out of people's heads.
Absolutely. Yeah. The one thing I can share about our projects is that, and you're absolutely right. Every project kind of has its own story and has its own, unique costs that can vary, that add up to that per unit calculation. And for us, something that's really unique and we think really important is that we build a substantial amount of what we call our village center space into our projects. And for senior supportive housing, that's particularly important for the kind of socialization and delivery of services that make a real difference in our ability to keep people living with us for a really long time, rather than going to nursing homes or, other kind of institutional settings. So particularly for senior supportive housing projects, you'll see construction costs that are a little bit higher than other projects because we're paying for that additional square footage that you don't see when you just kind of have like a straightforward residential lobby.
I'm done for the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Anyone else have a comment? Questions? Does Morton want to speak at all about the on the historic preservation issues? I don't know.
Well,
I see him still in the attendees. I want to give him a chance.
Yeah, I messaged to him, but why don't I bring him in and then see surprise him and see what happens. All right, here we go.
Here we are. So we're entertaining questions or comments. Mort, we've brought you in. If you have any thoughts, you're welcome to join the meeting now.
Hi there. So nice to see you all again. Of course, all I can give are my own personal opinions. At this point, it would have to come before the whole historical commission for any kind of official word from the commission. I personally, I think it's probably better that the project is reduced some. Of course, I still will miss the historic building, but also I think it's if you recall, when you didn't appear before the historical commission, I mentioned something about a project notification form to the Mass Historic Commission. And so since you're utilizing state and federal funds, I believe, I think that still is something you're going to have to do. And presumably at that point, the local historical commission does get some input through the Mass Historic Commission on the project. And I know this happened on your project in Brookline. So I suspect that'll happen on this project too. I think personally, at this point, I would probably be happier anyway with the project if we could agree on some salvage items from the previous house, as well as possibly the erection of a historical marker on the site that's a public, a public marker, not just inside the house or something like that, but available to the whole public, that would be able to in fact help the whole neighborhood understand the history of the neighborhood and not just the Leland home. And again, that would be something that should be worked out between the applicants and the historical commission. We have a meeting from the historical commission that's scheduled for, I believe it's September 12th. And whatever that Monday is in September. And, again, if you wanted to reappear before the commission at that time and present whatever the project looks like at that time, if it morphs again, who knows what will happen at city council. But, I would certainly be more than happy to have you on the agenda and see how the rest of the commission feels about going forward with these things. So those are my comments.
Thank you. Thank you so much. If anybody else wants to speak, it's now, or I would entertain a motion to approve the project as presented.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Excellent. So Bill Doyle has made the motion to approve the project as proposed, as presented today, and Loretta McClary has seconded it. All in favor? Do I need a roll call vote?
But first, no, I don't think so. But let me clarify the
motion.
The motion, yeah, that'd be for this Two Life Communities and Leland Home application, the amount of $6 million of the application dated 7/29/2021, and that the funding is to be taken from the remaining balance of the CPA housing account and the remainder from CPA undesignated account. Julie, that sound good to you?
Yes, that sounds great.
Okay, cool. So that's the little details on the motion there.
I appreciate that you do that, Dan.
I concur. That's the sense of my motion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
All right. We have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Any
Thank
opposed?
you.
Abstentions or no? Did
everybody vote? Everybody's good?
Yep.
Okay.
Excellent. Hearing no concerns or abstentions or any objections. I want to thank thank the committee for pulling together on short notice, and to thank the Two Life and Leland House and Deaconess crew for putting a great presentation together and really helping us understand the modifications that you've worked out with the community. And again, thanking you for working with the community and being willing to make the modifications that will get this project going, because I think we are all eager to see something, good happen there.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate your support and are also very excited to get going. So this is terrific, and it's really great momentum for the project. And I don't know your protocol, but I'm happy to respond to Mort briefly if that's appropriate, or I can do it offline. Just happy to say we'll come on the 12th and continue the conversation. And you're absolutely right that the project notification form will be an element of this project because of our subsidy sources and we're happy to work with you.
Okay, thank you. By the way, Erica, thank you for letting me speak.
Absolutely. I appreciate your views on these issues. So maybe someday we'll actually get to meet in person.
Yeah, right. Who knows with the way pandemic's going? One never
I
knows.
hear you. Yeah,
But-
we do the best we can. So this is great. Thank you all. And I think I motion to adjourn. I will entertain.
So moved.
Wait,
Oh,
wait. Dan has something.
I'll second the motion, but before we say yes,
Discussion on the motion?
just actually around the motion, just the process wise, just let Julie know. I'll get this to her immediately so that you can then get it to the city council.
Okay, thank
Right.
you.
All right.
Thanks everyone for coming.
So the motion to adjourn by Bill Doyle and seconded by Daniel Melnichuk. And I think we are adjourned.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. All right.
Very good.
Thank
Enjoy your
you.
weekend, folks.